So good morning and good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. So let's start the Friday study circle in which we are taking passages from the Sunlit path. So I am sure we are gathered through that beautiful recitation, the mantra, and just invoking Sri Aurobindo and Mother's presence to help us see the light through these words mentioned in this, through the Sunlit path. Yeah. So this is my understanding that last week we had last week we didn't have a session last week. We did two passages, blaming oneself and guard against despair. So we'll just read guard against despair once because I think it's really important. And then we'll go to this week's passage. One chooses to be weak. In case I'm mistaken, please do let me know if this is not what we were supposed to do, but that's what I think it is.
No, you are right.
Yeah. So if anybody is willing, they can please read this passage, guard against.
Yeah, I will read.
Thank
you. Guard against despair. For some people, events are always contrary to what they desire or aspire for or believe to be good for them. They often despair. Is this a necessity for their progress? Despair is never a necessity for progress. It is always a sign of weakness and tamas. It often indicates the presence of an adverse force, that is to say, a force that is purposely acting against sadhana. So, in all circumstances of life, you must always be very careful to guard against despair. Besides, this habit of being somber, morose, of despairing does not truly depend on events, but on a lack of faith in the nature. One who has faith, even if only in himself, one faces all difficulties, all circumstances, even the most adverse, without discouragement or despair. He fights like a man to the end. Natures that lack faith also lack endurance and courage.
Yeah, thank you, Captain. So in yesterday's session, the heroic heart, we almost, Monica, you had mentioned something on these lines only, right? That how if we are, anytime I am about me, that's the time when I go down, and that's the time when things kind of encircle me, and this focus shifts, and I kind of invite these things. So in case you would want to just say something about this before we.
मेरे को कल का तो I totally blank. I don't remember what I said, but yes, I think we discussed this passage nicely. So yeah, we can go forward.
Okay. So this week we will be taking this. One chooses to be weak. So if anybody is willing, they can please read this for us, and then we'll reflect. Yeah, I think I'll read it.
I think दीपा ने अनम्यूट किया हुआ है. दीपा भी पढ़ सकती है. हाँ.
ओके दीपा,
आप तो पढ़ते ही रहते हो.
Thank you. One chooses to be weak. Mother, there are mistakes. One knows they are mistakes. But still, it is as though one were pushed into making them. Then, pushed by what? Ah, this is exactly what happens. It is the lower nature, the instincts of the subconscious which govern you and make you do things you should not do. And so it is a choice between your will and accepting submission. There is always a moment when one can decide. And it is a choice between weak submission and a controlling will. And if the will is clear, if it is based on truth, if truly it obeys the truth and is clear, it always has the power to refuse the wrong movement. It is an excuse you give yourself when you say, I could not. It is not me. It is that truly you have not wanted it in the right way. For there is always the choice between saying yes and saying no. But one chooses to be weak and later gives oneself this excuse, saying it is not my fault. It was stronger than I. It is your fault if the thing was stronger than you, because you are not these impulses. You are a conscious soul and an intelligent will. And your duty is to see that this is what governs you and not the impulses from below.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, any thoughts, any comments, reflections before we wrap up?
I think for a long time there are many promises in these impulses that we follow, and that's why there is a submission to these impulses that they're going to give us something. And I think there we take that position that, oh, that was more powerful than me, because there is some promise still in the outside that I have a hope, still some from somewhere outside. So I feel that it takes quite a long, of maybe one life or maybe more lifetimes, I don't know, that we really truly become convinced that the true thing that we are looking for, all of us, the true contentment, the inner joy, happiness, whatever, that is not to be gotten from these whatever outward happenings, people, relationships, work. And it really takes a long time that I truly become convinced. And that is why I would follow that impulse, because there is still some promise that it gives me, that if I follow it, maybe I get some appreciation, some validation, maybe in the eyes of somebody I'm somebody. And they still hold promise for us. And slowly, as they lose grip over us because of our own conviction that I know that I'm not going to get anything from there, and I'm not going to even try at all now, because also parallelly one gets from within. So slowly, as we keep on getting from within, the well remains full. It's like a fountain you have gotten in touch with. Then I feel that that will somehow takes its ground. Like, then it's much easier to refuse the following of those outer impulses. Otherwise I don't know how to refuse, because अंदर खाली है और चाहिए सबको, तो कैसे आप फॉलो नहीं करोगे वो आउटर इम्पल्स को? कैसे नहीं फॉलो करोगे? कैसे बचाओगे अपने आप को? क्योंकि चाहिए सबको. एवरीबडी इज थर्स्टी, एवरीबडी इज हंग्री. So I think that's why it's important that through life happenings, through pain, whatever, the blows of life, if there comes a point that one says enough, and one turns within, and from within one begins to refill oneself, and that seems to give a delight and a rasa and a inner satisfaction, then one can totally rely on oneself, which is to rely on the divine within. And then it is much, much, much easier to say no to these patterns. Otherwise, we will from time to time keep falling. The moment that disconnect is there, the inner disconnect is there, you're not connected with that fountain within, the disconnection has happened, again you will fall a prey to those impulses. It's like ever alert and ever to be in connection. So yeah. So I feel that weakness that mother is sharing, that you fall weak, it's a weak submission, partly also which I see is because of that promise that impulse holds for me, कि अगर ये फॉलो किया तो मुझे इससे ये मिलेगा और वो चाहिए अभी तुम्हें. So as long as that is there will be a willing weak submission. It's a willing weak submission because there is a promise. That's what I feel. And slowly, as we grow with our inner connection, then the will becomes clear if it is based on truth, as mother shares. So then it's like you are not resisting that impulse. It's not about resisting, it's just about truly knowing what is to be followed. And when we are a slave to truth more and more, then we have clarity somehow. So if it is based on truth, mother says, if it truly obeys the truth and is clear, it always has the power to refuse the wrong movement. क्योंकि अब आपको वो जो inner lack है, that is getting fulfilled from somewhere else, and you are not dependent on the outer movements to have that fulfillment. And as Sri Aurobindo says, when he talks about the Aryan spirit, who is an Aryan, he talks about that always an Aryan is a climb, an effort. It's like always a battle between the right choice and the wrong choice. It's always a uphill task, he says. So तकलीफ तो सबको होती है किसको नहीं होती. पहली बार नया कुछ करने निकलते हैं, तकलीफ तो सबको होती है. Even in our material situations, whenever we are embarking upon something new and persisting with it, stabilizing ourselves with it, तकलीफ होती है, but it's a good तकलीफ. Yeah.
Yeah. In addition to the graspings or desires, the impulses towards that something one will get, there's also at times just, if somebody said something, or you said something to somebody, or something has happened to you in the past, that also has a hold or a grip over you. And you would want to reason. And yet sometimes, sometimes you're able to. And in other times, there is this thing that it just feels too big. That as if, like here, mother says that one could say that it was too big for me. It was stronger than I here, where it says I could really resonate with that, because sometimes you do feel that you don't know what to do about it. It was stronger than I, but here it's so beautifully said that if it is stronger than you, if you feel that, if that's true for you, that again is your fault, that an impulse, a dictate, a comment, a happening is stronger than you. Then again it shows who's the master of what. An impulse is using me, a comment is kind of making me run on its tunes. I'm being puppeted. Because even if, while being in that, even if we can see that, okay, this is what it means, that also would help in becoming stronger every time.
It's very interesting how these past impressions have such a grip over us, really. And if we actually see ourselves even physically in the present moment, and we see, okay, where is the pain that you are feeling, or the emotional pain, it is not anywhere. It's like phantom. वो होता है ना, जो if somebody loses a limb, है ना, तो उसको तब भी दर्द होती है, the limb has been lost, but the phantom pain is there. They call it phantom pain, है ना. So, and such is the grip of the past. What we were reading the other day, one darshan message by the mother, that wo make of us the hero warriors, so that we can make the battle against the future that wants to be born and the past that seeks to endure. तो ये सबकी कहानी है कि, and Sarda ji was asking the other day in some other session, she was asking that how to make mother's presence more concrete. And it is very interesting that all the time, 24/7, we are making something or the other more concrete. हम जिसके बारे में सोच रहे हैं, जिसके बारे में विचार कर रहे हैं, हम उसको ज्यादा कॉन्क्रीट बना रहे हैं. If I'm ruminating about what you were sharing about the past happening, what happened to me in the past, again, the me is in the picture, the spoiler of the game. I make that concrete and then it becomes big and then I lose, you follow that impulse and then you say, oh, it wasn't my fault, it was just too big. And who was making it big? And वो हम भूल जाते हैं कि who made it big. That's why mother is sharing, it's your fault. So what am I choosing in each moment? Who am I making concrete? Am I making mother's presence concrete within? क्योंकि ये depend बहुत करेगा, because all the time we are thinking and feeling. That's what we do all the time. तो मैं किसके बारे में think and feel कर रही हूँ? That is what I make concrete. And that is why they say naam jap is so effective, because you make concrete divine presence. Otherwise also you are doing the japa. We are all doing the japa of our thoughts, of our storylines, repeating them, regurgitating. मतलब गायें भी क्या जुगाली करती होगी उसके सामने हमारी जुगाली. Really, मतलब शर्म आ जाए गाय को अगर हमारी जुगाली वो देखे. इसे कहते हैं जुगाली. ये देखो 80 साल जुगाली हो सकती है. तुम्हें कौन सा टाइटल मिला था, कौन से सन में, कौन सी ईस्वी में, वो अभी तक हम मरते दम तक कैरी कर रहे हैं. किस बंदे ने कौन सी गाली दी थी वो अभी तक याद है. मतलब 80 साल के हो गए, 90 साल के हो गए, मेमोरी फेड हो रही है, बट गाली अभी तक याद है. मतलब दिस इज अमेजिंग रियली. हमारी जो रीगर्जिटेशन है, द कैपेसिटी दैट वी हैव. इमेजिन दैट इफ वी रीगर्जिटेट डिवाइन्स नेम, capacity same hai. That's the beauty. So we have to, and that is what we have to do everywhere. What mother says, that there is nothing wrong with the world, things are just not at their proper place. So this, my stubbornness to ruminate, if I can ruminate mother's presence and mother's name and Sri Aurobindo's name, or whoever the divine resonates with me all the time, if I ruminate upon it, what will I become? तो बड़ा हम ही बना रहे हैं. हर बार वो आते हैं, पेट्रोल हम दे देते हैं कि हाँ जी मुफ्त ले लो, आप तो हमारे सगे संबंधी हो, मुफ्त ले लो. द ओल्डर स्टोरीज. एंड होता है ना, अगर हमारा खुद का पेट्रोल पंप हो जाए तो हम अपने फ्रेंड्स को तो दे देंगे थोड़ा एक्स्ट्रा कि चलो ले लो, आपसे क्या लें पैसे. दैट्स व्हाट वी डू टू दी स्टोरी लाइन्स कि अच्छा आप हैं, अरे आपको तो हम जानते, आइए. आप 1 लीटर क्या 2 गैलन लीजिए. Like that we fill their tummy up and then they are making this vikral roop and then we are wondering, अरे वो बहुत बड़ा हो गया था. है ना, we forget the missing link. बड़ा किया किसने? Very interesting how we do that. And why Sri Aurobindo would say in Savitri, this mortal man is his own worst foe. ये तो करते हैं पूरा time. He makes his own enemies his own guests. And mortality bears ill the divine touch. मतलब divine touch चाहिए ही नहीं, और enemies को आमंत्रण दिया जा रहा है, आइए आइए. Very interesting, really, we are.
Just going through it once that mother says that whenever we are facing this, it's the lower nature, the instincts of the subconscious which governs you and make you do things you should not do. Exactly, this clarity is there because it doesn't feel like lower nature. It feels like मेरी आत्मा की आवाज, or how do I get past this? How do I get over this? This is too big. And yet, without exception, it is the lower nature. So just to go through, the question was that, Mother, there are mistakes. One knows there are mistakes, but still it is as though one were pushed into me. So she says, pushed by what? It is the lower nature, the instincts of the subconscious, which govern you and make you do things you should not do. And so it is a choice between your will and accepting submission. So the will being, like we were just sharing, that who do I want to chant? Do I want to chant the divine's name? Do I want to chant my story? What has happened to me? Poor me, this is my choice. Or I just accept that, yes, yes, come and rule me or puppet me. Because that's like just factually speaking, because when emotions are there and stuff are there, things appear to be bigger than Tao. But at the base of it, this is the choice between your will and accepting submission. There is always a moment when one decides that what do I want to do? And it is a choice between weak submission and a controlling will. And if the will is clear, if it is based on truth, if truly it obeys the truth and is clear, it always has the power to refuse the wrong movement. It is an excuse you give yourself when you say, I could not. It is not true. It is that truly you have not wanted it in the right way. So there is always a choice between saying yes and saying no. So I might choose not to choose, but that is a choice that I'm making, that let it be how things are going, and just in the used to factor, welcoming the old guest again and again. It seems like I don't have a choice, but I do. So there's always the choice between saying yes and saying no. But one chooses to be weak and later give oneself this excuse saying, it is not my fault. It was stronger than I. It is your fault if the thing was stronger than you. Because you're not these past impressions, these comments, these memories, history, happenings, circumstances. We are not these. We are a conscious soul and an intelligent will. And your duty is to see that this is what governs you, this conscious soul An intelligent will is what governs you, and not the impulses from below. Just seeing even the things for what they are, even if while I am getting governed, if I can see that, okay, this is an impulse from below, if I can remember this, that too helps me in giving it, I don't know, less and less and less importance gradually, if I would want to clear those things and move forward. Yeah.
When this chapter we started reading, I was thinking of the battle at Kurukshetra, where Arjuna is asking something and Sri Krishna is replying. So it goes like this. Other day I was reading Bhagavad Gita. So I'll just read out the Bhagavad Gita sloka number 36 of chapter 3, 3.36. Arjuna said, now impelled by what, Krishna? Does this man commit sin even involuntarily, as though driven by force? He's telling that the man is committing sin, even knowing that involuntarily he's doing, driven by which force? The person who has asked the question here, mother, there are mistakes. One knows there are mistakes, but still it is as though one were pushed into making mistakes. It's exactly the same questions. Now, what Krishna replies, the mother also replied the same thing. Sri Bhagavan Uvacho means the Bhagavan said, it is desire begotten of the element of rajas, which appears as wrath. Nay, it is insatiable and grossly wicked. No, this is the enemy in this case. So he's telling all this anger and this. This is a lower vital actually. What mother is telling, it is the lower nature. Exactly the same thing. What mother says, it is the lower nature, the instincts of the subconscious, which govern you and make you to do the things which you should not. So I was remembering this actually, the situation when it was being read. So I was thinking that it was like Kurukshetra war. So this is the similarity actually. So mother is so pure, and she is replying, answering to the question, to the point. Whoever has asked this question, his name is not there, but to the point, and considering anything and everything, it cannot be contested by anybody. Means the answer which was given here, the things which are written there, every word, and the meaning of it, actually, it's so pure. So the purest form. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain. Would anybody else want to share anything? Or should we take up the next?
These last few lines. Yeah, this one. ये जो चीज है, because you are not these impulses, you are a conscious soul and an intelligent will. I think अगर ये मेरे लिए सिर्फ एक क्या कहते हैं theory, if it is only a theory for me, it's not much of a help that you just read somewhere. Maybe reading of course instigates us and ignites us, that's the task, but this has to become a practical living realization in me, and that is why we when we are stepping back, like Jetsunma shares that there is a surface chattery mind, and then she says there is a deeper subtle level of consciousness. which is the observing mind. Aurobindo also talks of that you have to step back, where we were reading in Synthesis of Yoga, the release from heart and mind, the release from the ego. So before I step back from these so-called happenings of life and the chatter of thoughts and chatter of feelings, it is not possible that I gain mastery, or like mother is sharing that आपने एक बार will कर लिया, so then you should be able to refuse, है ना. तो जब हम when we take stance as awareness, when we, or some people say awareness, some people use the word consciousness, it's actually pointing to the same thing, so not getting into the jargon of that. But like Rupert Spira, he uses the word you are awareness, right? And it is again pointing to the same thing, that you are aware of the thought, you are not your thought. You are aware of your fear, you are not your fear, right? So I am conscious of the story, but I am not my story. What mother was sharing, that always you are beyond your circumstances. So I feel that in the beginning it's good to read, of course, that's how we get propelled into it, but then slowly it has to, like I have to, one can say, we have to shift floors within, है ना. तो हम यूजुअली वो सरफेस लेवल पे होते हैं, उसी से आइडेंटिफाइड होते हैं, और तभी वो इतना ज्यादा बॉदर करता है. उसने थप्पड़ मारा तो इधर चले गए, इससे थप्पड़ मारा तो इधर चले गए, लाइक एवरीथिंग मूव्स अस. एंड टू बी एबल नॉट टू बी मूव्ड बाय दीज थप्पड्स, क्योंकि वो सरफेस पे हो रहे हैं, वो पीछे की तरफ नहीं हो रहे हैं, वो डीपर नहीं हो रहे हैं. So we step into this witnessing consciousness, which is always just a witness, always conscious of the happenings but not swayed by the happenings. And the same thing Jetsunma shares, very practical, contemporary way she shares, that how we have a chattery surface mind, which Aurobindo calls the surface soul, the desire self, and then the deeper self, which is the witnessing consciousness. So we have to step into it, we have to practically step into it. It's a realization in itself. And then our will also, we see, becomes stronger, because then we are standing with the truth. On the surface may we are standing with the falsehood, but the moment I take stance, I change my floor, अब वो वाला घर जो था वो मैंने खाली कर दिया एक तरीके से, है ना. Now you shifted in your own true home. This is what we call true consciousness. तब क्या होता है कि वो जब घर खाली हो गया, उसको अब मैं दूर से देख पा रही हूँ, लाइक एन ऑब्जेक्टिव विटनेस, कि अच्छा ये बातें तो अभी भी चल रही हैं, बट उनका उतना जोर नहीं है मेरे ऊपर जितना वो पहले था, क्योंकि आप उसी घर के अंदर रह रहे थे पहले. आइडेंटिफाइड विद दैट. So I feel that's why these mindfulness practices, or stepping back from anger, stepping back from desire, greed, lust, everything, this stepping back, because we are stepping back into the witnessing consciousness. So yeah, just wanted to reiterate that this has to be a living realization, that you are a conscious soul and an intelligent will, because it goes side by side. A conscious soul is not a dumb animal. So काफी बार हम पूछते हैं कि अरे अगर मैं विटनेस हो गया तो इसका मतलब मैं डिसीजन नहीं लूंगा, है ना, क्योंकि अभी हम सिर्फ मेंटली इमेजिन कर रहे हैं कि क्या होगा, है ना. जैसे स्विमिंग करना सीख रहे होते हैं तो हम क्या बोलते हैं, अच्छा मैं अंदर चला गया तो मैं सांस कैसे लूंगा, ये नहीं पता कि सांस रोक भी सकते हो, या और भी तरीके हैं. सो इट्स लाइक दैट वी कीप ऑन एक्स्ट्रापोलेटिंग, एंड द बेस इज वेयर आई एम राइट नाउ. तो अभी का बेस लेके मैं एक्स्ट्रापोलेट कर रही हूँ, वो मैं ज्यादा दूर तक नहीं ले जा सकती. So I don't even know that मैं जब जैसे ही I step into that witnessing consciousness, its byproduct is the intelligent will. And if I still feel dumb, and if I am feeling that, oh, I am witnessing, but there is a dumbness in the sense that you are not taking actions that need to be taken, it means that true realization has not yet happened. आप कहीं मिडल में ही लटक रहे हो अभी, और लग रहा है कि हो गया, बट हुआ नहीं है. So it's a byproduct. Conscious soul and intelligent will, they go together, like they are part of the same bouquet. A person who is consciously living in the soul consciousness will be able to take active decisions, in his life. Not like, अच्छा तुम ये कह रहे हो, अच्छा ये कर लेते हैं, अच्छा आप ये कह रहे हो, हाँ ये कर लेते हैं. No, not like that. Often this is the thing. Yeah. So just wanted to add on that, on those 3 lines.
just on when you said the importance of the mindfulness practices, that's something that I've kind of realized a little bit, that we read it and then experience helps the most, because that's where have really experienced it. And you try to do it with mindfulness practices that are there. For some people it could be japa, meditation, anything. And I remember, so Ritik, I used to think that, that stilling of the mind, that feeling of stilling, really, that solidity, that I have not really experienced it. I have tried a little bit of meditation, I've tried japa, I've tried this, but I'm not really, I feel that I have not really experienced it. So I think something is missing. There's something that's not really going right. And I remember, I started like few weeks ago, I started some physical activity, some workout, strenuous workout. And I remember that it was actually in those workout, really strenuous workout, that I was actually able to still my, I could actually felt, I didn't even know that time, but only when I came out of that zone, I said, wow, that was a very good moment. My mind was so still. So the realization that I really carried from that was that, you should always remember that different things will work for different people. For some people, it could be actually sitting in a meditation for 2 hours can actually help them develop that witness consciousness or stilling of the mind. For some people, it could be going in the nature, doing that. For some people, it could be japa. Some people, it could be sitting with the mother and talking with her. Or for some people like me who is very lazy doing physical. So it was actually, I realized that mother is telling me that because you're so lazy with doing your physical exercise, your key lie there. So either you do it and take it, or you don't get it. So that was really profound, because I used to say, everybody says, oh, meditation is good. Of course it is good, it helps, but it's not that for everybody it will have the same effect. So it's very good to try these various mindfulness exercises that's there, and see what works best for me, because we all are very unique, divine like uniqueness.
No, I
So
think it's a very valid point, and there is no uniqueness about it. We are all actually alike, and that's why in integral education we have such a big portion dedicated to physical education. It's not, and that's why in current lifestyle we have so many problems owing to the fact that we are going down on the physical activity. है ना, सब कुछ घर बैठे बैठे लाखों की कमाई हो रही है, आपका कुछ सिर्फ मेंटल इंटेलेक्चुअल वो है ना, फिजिकली आपको जिम जाना पड़ता है एक्चुअली वर्कआउट करने के लिए, क्योंकि आपका कुछ है ही नहीं ना, एक्सपेंडिचर है ही नहीं। पहले तो चल के जाते थे हम, एम से कोटला चल के जा रहे हो या बड़ी दूर दूर, है ना, अब वो चलना है ही नहीं तुम्हें। एवरीबडी हैज अ कार, और buses are there, or trams are there, है ना। So this is a very important part, and I think it's not only for some, it's for everyone. In our ordinary consciousness, physical activity is a very important part of the process of yoga or sadhana. Otherwise, and that's why we have so overactive minds nowadays, because of the lack of physical culture and activity. So it's very valid, and for most of us, only
Even
sitting,
in
only, yeah,
ashram, in
yes.
Pondicherry ashram also I saw, even the older, those who are ill living and very old, maybe 80 plus or 90 plus, but still they are doing that physical exercise. There's a parade and things like that. In an organized fashion, it has been done actually. Because we stayed there for a few days, and in the evening this activity takes place. It is in a closed building where outside people cannot see actually that they are married. But once I went there and I saw where mother met, means Aurobindo met mother in that building actually. So the parade was held. There is a small ground sort of thing, open space, and there the exactly parade. I saw there is a defense parade going on or what. So then I asked the lady who was staying there actually. She was in Mint. So she was telling that this is for our physical activity for the body, body and mind. So body, every cells of the body has to be kept taken care of. So we are taking care of all of them.
Bilkul, bilkul. And the other thing that we will see is that everything fades. This is what we see. Like you were sharing, कि आपको, somebody, what somebody gets by sitting, you got by physical culture, right? And you will see that after some time it will fade. है ना, ये चीज है which is we have to, like slowly this has to transform. क्योंकि फेड होके फिर क्या होता है, फिर माइंड की एक्टिविटी आपको फिर से दिखने लग जाती है द मोमेंट द बॉडी गेट्स एनर्जी, क्योंकि सब कॉन्शियस लेवल पे अभी चेंजेस नहीं हुए हैं. एंड वी हैव सो मेनी स्टोरीज ऑफ कोर्स, even with the physical culture, if we see so many difficult problems with all the, even the senior sadhaks, very difficult problems, very, and somebody was sharing that after mother withdrew from her body, after that actually as if a pressure, they, some people felt that एकदम से जो वो प्रेशर था ना, फिजिकल प्रेशर जैसे उनके ऊपर था, स्ट्रेटन अप होता है ना, कि अगर बॉस खड़ा है तो स्ट्रेटन अप रहेंगे, जैसे ही बॉस गया और सुना क्या हाल है, एकदम से रिलैक्स हो जाते हैं. तो वैसा somebody felt कि as if that pressure was not there to straighten up. And the even the senior sadhaks who in front of the mother, they were very like, they were like prim proper everything, उनके atavisms they begin to now surface. वो अलग बात है, then again mother's presence is there in the subtle and that's active from there, but one could see that effect कि जैसे ही थोड़ा सा इफेक्ट जाता है, जैसे हम फिजिकल की बात कर रहे थे ना, थोड़ा सा आपको शांति मिलती है, यही तो हमारे साथ होता है ना, जब हम मेडिटेशन में बैठते हैं, आपको थोड़ी देर शांति मिल गई, चलो आपको उससे मिल गई, आपको उससे मिल गई, ठीक है, अब वो होता क्या है, थोड़ी देर की शांति, फिर से थोड़ी देर बाद वो माइंड फिर से ओवर एक्टिव हो जाता है. सो दैट इज वाई आई थिंक गुड दैट यू ब्रॉट इट अप. सो इंटेग्रल ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन के लिए everything has to participate, the body has to participate, the mind has to participate, the feelings have to participate, the emotions. So yeah, I'm glad that that was taken up. And yet we see it's a long journey, क्योंकि सबके अपने अपने distortions हैं जो change होने में time लगता है. And that is why a practical realization in the body level, when you take a stance at a different plane altogether and more begin to stay there, और पुराना जब आप घर खाली कर देते हो, है ना, तो फिर क्या होता है, फिर माइंड, लाइफ एंड बॉडी, वो तीनों उसका इन्फ्लुएंस लेते हैं उस लाइट का. फिर आपकी बॉडी भी बेटर फील करेगी, उतना लेजी नहीं फील कर सकती, नहीं फील कर सकती, पॉसिबल नहीं है. वो अलग बात है कि एज के साथ जो चेंजेस होते हैं, यू फील लाइक लिमिटेड बिकॉज ऑफ एज, बट द बॉडी फील्स दैट लाइट एंड एनर्जी ऑफ द फ्लोर इन विच यू आर लिविंग, है ना. So then the body is supple, it's flexible and ready to get alert at any tuck. Yeah, yes, Deepa, please.
My question is going to be about despair, so I'm just going to move away from this conversation. In our society, family has been put at such a high pedestal, like that's like the ultimate unit that makes up our society. So, in the initial years, I understand when we are all rearing children and we are responsible and committed to it. But as children grow up, the family grows and becomes a lot more independent of each other. We still continue to hang on to those attachments. And sometimes, like, especially when I look around, like my peers, my friends, my family, sisters, everybody, including myself, I feel like there are moments when we continue to live in this feeling of despair because suddenly, from that interdependence, everybody's becoming independent. And uh, you're trying to find out where exactly you stand here, because now you can do more with your time, with your talent, with your skills, and people still continue with this unit. And I see so many of my friends as well as peers who are trying to struggle, who are struggling to find what they need to do with their lives. So why is it so difficult for us to break away from these bonds and find more meaning and choose a different path? Like they would rather wait for those little signs of, oh, we still need you, oh, you're still wanted, you're still loved, and continue along this unit, this family unit, rather than, do something more, which is probably not as per the society's dictates. Where women are supposed to be within the house and still cater to the family. Um, how do they break away? And it could be a little more global. It couldn't be just women. I think even men go through this, because they're providers, they're supposed to earn, and family is independent as far as finances, but still the man continues working and the woman continues doing what she has to do. So this transition that needs to come into our lives as we grow older and age, to do something more better than what we are doing, the mundane. How do we break away from this?
ये रीजन है, इसकी वजह से हमको मदर और श्री अरबिंदो को पहले पढ़ना चाहिए ना, कॉलेज टाइम में पढ़ना चाहिए ना. दिस इज व्हाई आवर होल सिस्टम ऑफ एजुकेशन इज फ्लॉड, एक्चुअली इट इज फ्लॉड, है ना. कहाँ हमारे इंडियन कल्चर में वी हैड गुरुकुल सिस्टम्स एंड एवरीथिंग वाज देयर, नॉलेज ऑफ सब्जेक्टिव सेल्फ एंड द ऑब्जेक्टिव वर्ल्ड वाज देयर. क्योंकि उसमें क्या होता है, आपको स्टार्टिंग से एक ओरिएंटेशन मिल जाती है कि करने क्या आए हो. अभी हमको कहाँ से पता लग रहा है करने क्या आए हो? सोचो, हम सब अगर सोचे इस बारे में कि कौन बता रहा है हमको करने क्या आए. सोशल मीडिया, people around you. Are people around us yogis and seers and mystics? Can they truly guide us in the right direction? We all know what is the answer, है ना. तो इसका अगर आप सीधा रूट पे अटैक करोगे ना, इसको हम बहुत सारे लेवल्स पे डिस्कस कर सकते हैं और हर लेवल अपने बंदे के लिए कुछ ना कुछ हमको देके जाएगा. बट ये फैमिली और ये सब करने का क्वेश्चन ही पैदा नहीं होगा अगर आप सीधा रूट पे अटैक करोगे, विच इज व्हाट इज द पर्पस ऑफ ह्यूमन एग्जिस्टेंस. If we read any good mystic, good in the sense any mystic, all mystics are mystics, not good and bad. आप कहीं भी पढ़ोगे, किसी भी संत को पढ़ लो, कबीर को पढ़ लो, बुल्ले शाह को पढ़ लो, फरीद को पढ़ लो, सूफिज्म में चले जाओ, कौन कह के चला गया कि यहाँ हम घर बसाने और बच्चे पैदा करने और एक दूसरे को खुश करने आए. मुझे नहीं पता आज की डेट में कि कौन कह के गया ये, और अगर ढूंढ सकते हो तो ढूंढो और शेयर करो किसी दिन स्क्रीन पे. मुझे लगता है कौन कह गया, क्योंकि हमने ये पढ़ा नहीं ना. तो तभी तो मैं कह रही हूँ एजुकेशन का पार्ट होना चाहिए. व्हाई आर वी हियर? मानुष जन्म अमोल रे, तू माटी मेना घोल रे. क्यों कह रहे हैं ये, है ना. वन कैन क्वेश्चन, क्या है ऐसा प्रेशियस मेरे बर्थ में. सो इफ वी रीड, go to the root of it, actually all the questions that you posed, and you pose the questions of collective humanity, right? That's what you are sharing, ki it's a problem with everyone. The questions will dissolve in the front of that fire, question in front in us, कि भैया पैदा किस लिए हुए हो. उसकी आग में वो सब भ्रष्ट हो जाएंगे. क्योंकि अभी क्या है, हमको नहीं पता है, हमारी आंखें खुली नहीं हुई हैं, हमें पता नहीं है कि इतना बड़ा काम के लिए हमें भेजा गया. इट्स लाइक अ मिशन, और वो मिशन भूल के बैठे हुए हैं. और कर क्या रहे हैं, इसको खिला लो लड्डू और उसको शादी में बुला लो. हम एक्चुअली में ये कर रहे हैं, है ना. बट इफ वी गो टू द क्रक्स ऑफ द मैटर और एक बार देखें मिस्टिक्स क्या कह के गए हैं, व्हाट आर यू हियर फॉर, actually all the delusions will melt away. This is the फायदा of reading mystics and seers, that it dissolves our delusions कि हाँ अब. And one way, again Nandini was sharing, one way to achieve this witness consciousness, listening to these talks or reading good words, है ना. एकदम से they absorb you in some space, still space. तो कर्म योगा, ज्ञान योगा, भक्ति योगा, है ना. तभी 3 आर्म्स दी गई है ना. और तीनों आर्म्स हम सबकी लाइफ में हर समय एक्टिव रहती हैं. कभी ज्ञान ज्यादा हो जाता है, भक्ति ज्यादा हो जाती है, कभी कर्म कम हो जाता है, फिर कर्म ज्यादा हो जाता है. सो ऐसा लग रहा है ज्यादा बढ़ हो रहा है, लेकिन काम सिर्फ एक का ही हो रहा है, डिवाइन काम ही हो रहा है हर आर्म से. So the thing is that if we get to know that we are born here not to please people, not to have stable families, you can have 10 divorces if you wish to walk on the right path, and it will be truly, truly valid. Really, मैं कह रही हूँ, do not stop yourself to live a true life. And what it, आप देखो ना, जो संत थे अपने टाइम में खूब पिटाई हुई है उनकी. कोई जीसस क्राइस्ट का क्या हुआ यार, सोचो. अभी इतने हमने चर्च और कैथेड्रल्स बना दिए, अब बनाए ना. जब वो थे तब हमने उनके साथ क्या किया. तो उस समय बात नहीं समझ में आ रही होती ना किसी को, तब लग रहा होता कि यार ये क्या पागलपंती की बातें कर रहा है, हमारे घर तुड़वाएगा ये बंदा, है ना, यही तो लगता है. सी व्हाई डू आई हैव सीन many of our friends, when we get in touch, they get in touch with living light or whatever, people begin to actually be insecure of them. Why? Because they think कि ये हमारे बंदे को कहीं ले ना जाए, in the sense कहीं और किसी डायरेक्शन में ना भेज दे. बहुत इनसिक्योरिटी फील होती है, बिकॉज अवर रिलेशनशिप्स आर बेस्ड नॉट ऑन ट्रूथ बट ऑन इनसिक्योरिटी. तो ऐसी कुर्सी जो डावाडोल है उसको आप कब तक बचा के रखोगे कि अरे कहीं टूट ना जाए, कहीं टूट ना जाए. अरे भैया पहले ही टूटने दो उसको, है ना. और अगर आप थपेड़ा पढ़ने दोगे तो ये पता लग जाएगा कि उसकी बेस क्या था, ट्रुथ था या इनसिक्योरिटी थी. सत्यमेव जयते, है ना. अगर वो रिलेशनशिप इसको भी एंड्योर कर गया, दैट यू हैव टर्न टुवर्ड्स ट्रुथ एंड द रिलेशनशिप इज सस्टेन्ड, then it means the relationship is based on truth. If you have turned towards truth and the relationship damadols, it means better to let it go sooner than later. Who are we fooling? And why to have such shallow relationships in our life? उससे क्या होगा, एक बंदा जब ट्रूथ की तरफ मूव करता है, जो कुर्सी टूटी है वो दूसरे बंदा जो अभी वो बिखर सा रहा है उसको भी ट्रूथ की तरफ मूव करने के लिए कंपेल करेगा, क्योंकि शांति सबको चाहिए ना. तो या तो हम डामाडोल कुर्सियां संभालते रहें, उसको नीचे से फेविक्विक लगा के, ग्लू लगा के, अच्छा यहाँ ईंट रख देते हैं, वहां ईंट रख देते हैं, या फिर आप बोलो भैया टूटनी है तो टूट जाए, जाना तो मुझे इसी तरफ है जो सही दिशा है ना. क्या करेंगे कुर्सी का, बैठ बैठ के मोटे ही तो हो रहे हैं. So all these questions of saving our families and all these things, actually they dissolve in front of what are we here to do. मामला कुछ और है, मुद्दा कुछ और है, और हम कुछ और कर रहे हैं. We are not here to have stable families. कितने लोगों की आश्रम में stable families थी. Mother never encouraged these things. हाँ, वो अलग बात है, later on people came with families and people children, but ऐसा नहीं है कि मदर कह रही है कि हाँ हाँ ये इसीलिए पैदा हुए. किसको इंपॉर्टेंस दी गई? True work was given importance. Authentic consciousness was given importance. वो है तो फिर उसके साथ एज अ बाई प्रोडक्ट घर है, घर नहीं है, वो सेकेंडरी चीज है ना, प्राइमरी चीज नहीं हो सकती ना. वो आपका घर साबुत है या आपका घर बिखरा हुआ है, वो सेकेंडरी चीज है, ट्रिवियल है. आपको मन की शांति है, आपको भगवान के नाम में मस्त हो, आप क्या बढ़िया काम कर रहे हो, आपके पास 24 आवर्स भी कम लग रहे हैं आपको काम करने के लिए, तो क्या करोगे, घर है नहीं है एक बराबर है. सो क्वेश्चन चेंज कर दो तो वी गेट टू द राइट पाथ. And for each one of us, not only for us who are discussing, for everyone, this is our culmination. We all have to turn towards truth sooner later. पिट पिट के जाएं या कैसे भी जाएं, जाना तो सबने उसी तरफ है ना. तो दूसरे ऐसे लोग जो हमको इनसिक्योरिटीज में बांध के रखना चाहते हैं, है ना, एंड जस्ट फॉर अ शैलो स्माइल एंड शैलो सो कॉल्ड हैप्पी वर्ल्ड, when we propagate their behavior, we are actually पार्टनरिंग विद फॉल्सहुड, एंड उसमें किसी का भी भला नहीं है, किसी का भला नहीं है. तो चोट जो देनी है वो आज दे दो, कल का वेट मत करो चोट देने के लिए. दर्द सबको होता है जब चोट लगती है, बट उसके बाद स्ट्रेंथ भी आती है. हैव फेथ दैट द पर्सन विल हैव स्ट्रेंथ and everything arranges itself. I remember that when I started to follow what I wanted to do, everything rearranges itself around the truth. ये हमारी इनसिक्योरिटीज है जो हमको लगते हैं, अच्छा पापा तो इस समय चाय लेते हैं, अच्छा रोटी कौन बनाएगा, है ना, चद्दर कौन साफ करेगा, 4 दिन से डस्टिंग नहीं हुई. ये मैं अपनी बात कर रही हूँ. ये सारी चीजें सेकेंडरी है, मैं बता रही हूँ आपको. प्राइमरी है टू फॉलो योर हार्ट्स कॉलिंग, एंड इफ यू ऑनर दैट, not only you will be fulfilled, other will also get strength to live their life, a better life, not a handicapped life कि 40 साल के हो गए और पता नहीं कि आटा कैसे गूंदना है. फ्रिज खोलते हैं और 4 शेल्फ हैं फ्रिज में गिनी हुई और बोल रहे हैं कहाँ है कहाँ है. मतलब ये हमारी हालत है एक्चुअली. किसने बनाया हैंडीकैप लोगों को? हमने ही तो बनाया है कि अरे आप क्या खोल रहे हैं, मैं खोल देती हूँ. तो हम किसका फायदा है ना, इस हैंडीकैप में किसी का भी फायदा नहीं है. एंड इमेजिन दैट इफ वी कैन हैव वन पर्सन इन द हाउस हु इज रेडी टू फॉलो हिज कॉलिंग, आप देखो उसके आसपास वाले भी सशक्त होने लग जाते हैं, अगर आसपास वाले हैं तो. उनके पास चारा ही नहीं है ना, दे विल हैव टू फेंड फॉर देमसेल्व्स, दे विल हैव टू फाइंड करेज इन देमसेल्व्स. तो देखो, एक तीर से दो शिकार.
And I also feel that what Monica is saying, it does really make a difference if you really, truly try to, embrace truth. Like, I feel that relationships get so better. Because you are better. You are yourself. It gets so better. There is less expectation. I don't think so expectations really go away. It takes a lot of time, but there's less expectation. Even when you're expecting, there's this inner voice telling you, no, it's not right. So at least you're grounded a little bit. To really understand true love, what true love is, because for our understanding, love is completely messed up, like as Instagram, Bollywood, all of this. What true love is. So I definitely feel that it gets you become like a ether that spreads the fragrance around. And of course, forced relationship is so false away, because the one who is not ready, how will he bear the light of the truth? And the second question I wanted to respond to was that, that so much time has passed, and still people are still doing, even after children have grown up, you're in your 50s or 60s or 70s, and you're still. But what I feel is that we can always change if we want to. There is no, of course, if you start early, people sometimes tell me, oh, you're starting very early. I said, doesn't matter. You can start now. It doesn't make a difference. Who knows? You will progress 100 times more than I will do in my lifetime. Nobody knows, right? But what I feel is that we all, and I've seen it in the example of my mother, personally seen it. That's why I can say that she was so attached to me. Like how when you were describing, how clinging to the children, I could actually think of my mother, who was so attached to me, because with my father the relationship was so like in usual how relationships are. So I was the only center of attraction for her only child, the girl, always protecting. And when I decided I want to do my PhD from abroad, like she got a shock little bit, that oh my god, my only support will go away. What will I do? How will I be? But she used to say always one thing, that in front of your progress, I will never put my love. Always used to say from the first day. She made a big heart and made me go. I know it was extremely painful, because as you said, that expectation, and with children, what will life be vacuum? But I think she was 58 that time when that happened. So, according timeline that you were talking to. And really, like, Deepa, I've seen her growing. I've seen her growing like anything. She started, interest in gardening. She started reading Bhagavad Gita. She started meditating. I told her about the mindfulness meditation I'm doing. I told her how to do. She started doing that in the evening. And you know and then I saw that she has her own life, and I used to go there. I used to say, oh, she doesn't need me anymore, she's quite independent, she can do things. We used to spend time, and I used to feel bad that what was happening, my mother is not really my mother. That kind of loviness went away. But of course, divine was preparing her for something very different. There was a very different purpose, which I realize now. But that is a big example, that if she could change, my mother could change. I feel that anybody can change at the 16. If you get it good, even if you get it at 96, it's still a treasure. You still, you got the truth, which is like amazing. So I think it shouldn't be a barrier. Age, relationship, marriage, no marriage, children, no marriage, I think these are all labels. If you have, if you know your soul, you start at any age and aspire and see. I think how you progress. Everyone progresses differently. I've seen people, I like, somebody introduced them and they started much later, like in my own progress. And I see they have much progress. I feel the progress is immense, and I'm amazed that my God, this person can turn towards the divine so much. So in that sense, I feel, yeah, it shouldn't be a barrier when to start and not to start. Just start.
Yeah, anything else? No. I think we should take the next one next time, not today. It's good enough contemplation, and bit by bit is good rather than bigger chunk. So, and again, it's a next newer topic, so would be nice to take it next time. So, if not anything, we can maybe take a moment of silence, share, and dedicate.
Thank you, Deepa ji, for putting up the questions, and thank you, Monica ji, for a brilliant discussion, and thank you, Nandini ji, for adding to it. Thank you all.
And thank you, Badal ji, for being here. Thank you, Mother, for having her grace always with us. Yeah. So thank you, everyone, and we'll just take a moment of silence. Yes, Sarda ji?
It was beautiful, Monica. Beautiful. Really got drenched in it. Thank you so much, Deepa, Nandini, and everyone. Badalji also. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Just sharing.
Father's humility always amazes me. How humble he is all the time. That's something I learned from you all the time. Such humility and humbleness. So thank you for that too.
Never talk too much about anyone's humility in front of that person. No? Yeah. So we'll just take a moment of silence, thanking everyone to be here, sharing, asking questions, reflecting together, and sharing all of that merit, either of personal sadhana or collective effort. With all the sentient beings, may all of us have hearts which are full, simple, content, lives full of progress and joy. Thank you, everyone.